This video will be used to explain what is due before our face-to-face session 5. So the first thing you need to do is go into the course modules, go to Module B, and go to the first section about vocabulary. You will see that we have readings that are due by session 5. You click on that, and it's one reading. You can either get it in the Word document or the PDF. Read that before class. It's about sentence frames or sentence stems, which we've talked about before. This also connects with the worksheet that you have to do in the workbook. It's called Quick Write using sentence frames. And the next thing that you have to do before our face-to-face 5 is your first SIR. So if you go to Assignment Dropbox, you'll see that you come up with 4 options. You will click on Strategy Implementation Reports. You will then see SIR 1. You can download the document in the doc format or in the PDF format, whichever you choose. And then you're going to fill it out on your own using evidence from your class. To upload your work back to me when you are finished, you again will go to Assignments Dropbox. You will go to the Strategy Implementation Reports, and then you will actually click on where it says SIR number 1. That will bring you to this screen. You will browse your computer and find where you saved your work. After you've attached it, you can press the Submit button, and you are all set. So this is the rubric for SIR 1. And this is how I will grade you. If it is your own work, exemplary. If it is submitted on time, exemplary. As long as it's edited and proofread, exemplary. For the lesson sequence, if you want proficient, this is just you give me your agenda, it's bulleted, nothing extra. If you want distinguished, it's bulleted, and then I would add maybe a sentence or two explaining what you are doing in class. So if your agenda just says, do now, here, to get the distinguished, you would put do now and you would explain what your do now is. Content objective, if it's not based on a content standard, so for example Common Core, it would just be proficient. But if you can align it to a content standard and tell me how it connects back to the Common Core, you are all set. Remember to use your students will be able to, and this as well. For language objectives, so you're going to write your language objective. For proficient, you write a language objective, you have the domain, the language function, the content, and the differentiation. Okay. To get distinguished, you differentiate for 2 proficiency levels, at least. So you could do WIDA level 1, WIDA level 2, 3, whatever you have in your classroom. Tier vocabulary. That's what we did today. So as long as what you are giving me is appropriate for all tiers, so everything is in the right spot, and it has instructional potential, it's proficient. To get distinguished, it's vocabulary that I would see across content areas. So those polysemous words that we were talking about, the Bloom's words, if I see that you're picking those strong words, that gets distinguished. Also, what can get distinguished is I've seen people give me, for example, in Tier 1, they have 5 words, Tier 2, another 5, Tier 3, another 5, and then they actually highlight 3 to focus on here, and they highlight what words are most important to them. You don't have to do that. That is if you want more credit. So if you have any questions about that, you can ask me further. all you are required to do is tier your vocabulary so that you have tier 1, tier 2, and tier 3. Your reflections, I touched a little upon this in class, so you give some discussion for the future and you answer the prompts. For distinguished, you provide examples with specific students. So I was telling some people specifically, this means quote your students. Also, if you give me specific plans for the future, next week I will do this, and you tell me specifically how you are going to use the strategy in class again, how you're going to differentiate, how you will modify it, that gets distinguished. Lastly, the strategy, and this is where the 7 steps comes in. So for the 7 steps, you need to pick 2 to 3 words or phrases. For this, what I would do is I would actually write out for me your script. So what we were going over in class, go through the 7 steps, tell me the words you picked, give me the definitions you chose, give me the student friendly definition, give me an example of what the students said back and forth. Show me how you actually explained it to the students. Since I'm not in your classroom and I can't see what's going on, I'm going to have to go by what you give me as your script. The real difference between the proficient level and the distinguished level here is that when you get to the 6th step in the 7 steps, it shows planning on your part for the kids with the text. So maybe what that is you give them sentence starters, or you give them a word bank to help them make their sentences. How did you make it so that students could really access their new vocabulary? If you have any questions, please feel free to email me and let me know. I am going to be grading most of Wednesday and Thursday so that I can give you feedback quickly, and you can use that in the future.